Hey everybody, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof today is in the healing, not just in the singing. I'm here with Raelan Agle, and I have something really special for you guys. I know I'm a bit off topic today, but maybe not, because I think this is an issue that is affecting a lot of people. And first of all, I just want to say welcome, Raelan.
Hey Ken, thank you so much for having me today. I am so honored to be here, and I'm just really excited to chat with you about this today. It's such an important topic.
So why did I invite you here today?
Well, I have a bit of a long history facing some health problems. I lived with chronic fatigue syndrome for about 10 years. And it felt very hopeless, and it felt like I wasn't going to get past it, but I did. I 100% fully got past it. So I know you are passionate about this topic and have a lot of information and awareness about it. So yeah, so our paths crossed, and here we are.
Well, so for people just tuning in or people kind of checking this out new, I do have a video out about how we are healing from chronic fatigue, and I'm going to go as bold as to say how Raelan has healed from chronic fatigue. Now, before we get started, I am going to put a disclaimer. I am not a physician. I'm not a licensed healthcare practitioner. I make no claims about healing anybody. We are not here to sell supplements. We're not here to sell a program. We're here to share our personal testimony. And I want to say that up front because it's important to note that my daughter has this, and we are also recovering. We're not as far along the food chain as you are, but we're going to discuss how to get there. So for you guys out there, I want you to stick around. Don't, just click it off. If you have it or you know somebody that has it, I'm going to give all of Raelan's information. I'm going to put it in the description so you can click directly to her website to see some phenomenal testimonials, some very specific practical ways on how you too can heal from chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, so even down to Parkinson's. I know this sounds insane, guys, but I am telling you straight up, you know me. The proof's in the singing. I've proved this to you over and over and over again with my videos. I'm not some weirdo that's out there just selling some fanciful story. We've gone through this. Check out my video on this to give you some information and backstory, but we're going to cover this in more detail in a minute. But I want to be very, very, very clear that this is something you can heal from. It's discouraging as hell, I know it, but in the end, I'm telling you, as Raelan is living proof of this, and we're going to hear from her in a second, you can recover. So what I want to kind of tell my backstory, how I met Raelan, I'll make it quick. Now, I have my finger on the pulse of thousands and thousands of students all over the world. And as you guys know, I'm coming up on 1 million subs, 130 million views, so please don't take that lightly, all right? And one of the things that I am seeing that absolutely breaks my heart, and it's the reason I'm going off topic from music and singing onto health and how to heal, is because particularly women, and predominantly women from the ages of about 27 to 40, somewhere in this category, not that they can't be older or younger, but predominantly women, type A personalities, drivers, movers, shakers, that have extended their health to a point where their central nervous system has been compromised, it's compromised their immune system, and it's compromised, and we're going to discuss this now. But so I met Raelan from one of my students that is going through this, and she's a very well-known one of my students. I'm not going to divulge who that is because we're in the process of healing, and when she's ready to come forward with her story, she will. But my daughter her name is Indy, and she is recovering. She's about 65% recovered from almost being completely bedridden. And so I want Raelan to share her story now. And again, do not forget, I'm going to put her information in the description. If you guys want to click over to her site, she's got some absolutely to the point where it inspired me so much to want to make this video to promote this. So Raelan, I'd like to hear your story.
Thank you, Ken. Well, before I jump in, I just want to really quickly say a massive thank you to you, because I know this isn't your typical topic, and I know that you are doing a ton of work to raise awareness and get information and get hope out there, which is exactly what I've been working so hard to do since I've recovered. So thank you for that. I have so much gratitude for that. So, my story... And since I've recovered, and I consider myself recovered, I'm symptom-free. As you know, it's still a pretty poorly understood illness. There's no guarantee it will never come back, but I've been living healthy and strong and, can work out and travel and work full-time and do all the things I want to do with no issue. And since I've recovered,
I'm gonna stop you. How bad off did you get? Like, where was your lowest low to where you are now? Now you're vibrant, and you're beautiful, and you're vivacious, and all these things. But how bad did it get?
It was pretty bad, and it came on for me really fast, almost overnight. So I was very much, like you were describing, a type A personality. I was working full time. I was working out 6, sometimes 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day. I was getting up running 10 kilometers every morning before work. I was in school part time. I was just go, 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 go. Very social, just I never rested. And one day I got a really bad flu that laid me out, and I essentially just didn't fully recover for about 10 years. And those first about year and a half, 2 years were the worst. I had to...
Wait, stop. So you had a trigger.
Yep.
The trigger, we believe our daughter had a trigger too. We believe it was a combination of a vaccine she got to go to college and then mono shortly thereafter. And once she got mono, it was all downhill from there. Again, my daughter, a surfing champion at her school, professional salsa instructor, same kind of, type A personality, and it really strikes those kind of types. So from there, how bad did it get though? I mean, like when you just skimmed right over that, were you bedridden? Were you what happened?
So initially I got struck down in my first about year and a half state. I was about the same state. I was almost completely housebound, mostly bedbound and couchbound. I could have a little bit of functional time during the day. It varied from day to day, but I had to quit everything in my life. I had to quit my job. I had to quit my social life. I had to quit, of course, all physical activity. I had to take a medical leave from school, and the vast majority of my time was spent either laid out on the couch or in bed. And I had a whole range of symptoms, from extreme fatigue, any kind of physical or mental exertion at all. And I'm just talking like have a conversation with my husband, or just do something that's a little bit taxing, and I would get worse. I had headaches. I had pain all over my body. I had nausea, waves of nausea that came and went. I had sleep problems. Sleep became very, very difficult for me. And no matter how much I rested or how much I was able to sleep, nothing ever got better. And I had cognitive issues as well. All of a sudden, I had trouble thinking. I had trouble remembering things. I got to one point where I had to keep a stack of Post-its by me on the couch. And if I had to get up for something, I had to write down what it was and carry it with me to the next room. And it wasn't because I might forget when I got there. It's because I 100% would. I couldn't get from one room to the next and remember why I had gone there. Never. So it was quite bad. Yeah, it was quite bad.
And so we both have discussed this in advance. So guys, this isn't, as spontaneous as I'd love to pretend that it is. It's not. We talked about this. And what I mean by that is that I was flabbergasted to find out that Raelan has gone down almost the exact same path that I have with our daughter. And again, if you watch my testimonial, I don't want to go through all the details of that because I want to focus on what Raelan's going to share with us. But let's just say we have tried everything imaginable to try to recover from this. And Raelan, in your own words, of all the different supplements and of all the different procedures and of all the different, go to her testimonial. We're going to put her testimonial in the description. You guys will click on this. It will be more than worth your while. It literally, you're going to sing angels in heaven are going to go, hallelujah, hallelujah. There's hope. No, I'm not kidding though. I mean, we're making fun of it and maybe all embarrassing, but the struggle is real. But no, so I want you to kind of share a little bit about how ridiculous and to what extents of things you tried and what worked and what didn't. We're going to get more detail of this, but let's start with this here and then we'll get in depth.
Okay. So, I was desperate because it was like my life was taken away from me. It felt like almost overnight. So I was willing to spend every dollar I had and try everything under the sun. With whatever little energy I had, I devoted it towards researching, towards having my husband drive me to see different doctors and specialists and trying different things. So I spent tens of thousands of dollars on supplements. I was at one point taking about 100 pills per day. This was prescribed by an integrative medicine doctor. I was spending about $2,000 a month on supplements. I did different types of energy healing. I did colonics. I did, oh my goodness, something called constellation therapy. I went to psychologists. I did hormone replacement therapy. I was giving myself B12 injections every day. I changed my diet. I experimented with all different types of diet. I did acupuncture, chiropractors, just anything I could find, anything I come up with. I was doing saunas, and there's so many things that I'm sure I'm forgetting. It just really was a really long list.
So Raelan, as happened to us, we went to Dr. Jose Montoya, who at the time was the #1 infectious disease specialist in the world, Stanford University. Stanford was just getting ready to put the stamp on this as a bona fide disease. And they wanted our daughter to be the guinea pig by which they were going to expose this. They wound up using something else. We said, no, we're not going to do that to her. It's ridiculous. But as much as I have respect for Western medicine, and as much as I have respect for Eastern medicine and everything in between, what did the doctors tell you in let's just say typical, general practitioner medicine? At least for us, they told us we were crazy. Take these, antidepressants and go away and call me in the morning. Basically, what happened to you?
So I started off with my GP. It is a GP I'd been seeing for quite some time, and I really liked her. She'd been great in the past, but I'd never seen her for anything really serious. So when this happened to me, I went to her, and I think, at least I anyways, had grown up and been socialized to believe that you're unwell, you go to the doctor, and they fix you. So she was my sole lifeline when this happened. I was relying on her. I'm like, she needs to help me. She is my path out of this. And so she did, of course, a whole bunch of tests, the usual blood work and tested all my bodily fluids. And for a few weeks, things just kept coming back normal. And she's like, I can't find anything. So I came back to see her again because I realized I couldn't go to work anymore. I'd used up all my sick time, my vacation time. I was taking time off without pay, so I wanted to take a medical leave of absence. And I came into her office and I explained this to her, and I asked if she would help me with the paperwork. And this was such a tough moment for me because she looked at me and she had this look in her eye of just shock. Like, how am I supposed to support this when there's nothing wrong with you? And I was crushed. I was going through hell. And the one person I thought that was going to help me, that was going to save me, that's the way I used to think, didn't even believe me. So I very quickly went outside of mainstream medicine. I was in Canada. That's where I'm originally from. So we have a national healthcare system, which is Western medicine. And when that wasn't working for me, I just started looking online. And I found an integrative medicine doctor who practiced privately. He was very expensive, but I didn't care. And he was wonderful. He believed me. He took the time to thoroughly get my history, to look at everything in my life. And in time, he eventually diagnosed me with chronic fatigue syndrome.
Did he help you?
Well, it's interesting. It makes me laugh because I worked with him for a couple of years and I followed everything he did to the letter. And I spent, like I said, tens of thousands of dollars, not just on him, but on all the treatments and the tests. And at the end, I had nothing but gratitude for him, the end of about 2 years. And he was perplexed because he looked sheepish, almost like I didn't help you. So he didn't, cure me, but in those 2 years, I did make some progress. And why he was so important to me was that he felt like an ally, and he believed me. And every time I went there, he took me seriously, and he really wanted me to have an active part in this, and he taught me to take charge of my own health. And every time I went away with recommended reading and book recommendations, and he very much encouraged me to learn and experiment and try things within reason. So he wasn't able to help me tons, but
I get the feeling because we also had a functional integrated, specialist as well. I would love to wish that I could tell you the name. By the way, money wasn't so much an issue for us. I don't want to say like I'm a billionaire, but resources were not a problem. So we spared no expense at the highest level. So the very person that was, let's just say, invented integrative functional medicine, the person that invented it, he made a specific, we got a specific recommendation of someone high up the food chain working at one of the biggest hospitals in Southern California who did absolutely nothing. Wonderful gal, amazing, believed in us, we did every test imaginable, we did it, because our thought was, well, Western medicine absolutely has its value. And then it kind of stops at a certain point if it's not something they can write on a sheet of paper and have you go to the store and fill, and you take it and you're supposed to claim, you want to get better. Eastern medicine, on the other hand, can be very nebulous and can be very esoteric, and you've got practically almost on the witch doctor spectrum over there. We even flew to Hawaii and had some very, very famous energy guy beating on my daughter's back with his hand, but where she was black and blue. I'm like, is this really, that was recommended by this functional medicine doctor that had chronic fatigue that said this helped her heal. So it's sort of like, well, maybe some things work for some and some don't, but it didn't work for us. And, and you had some similar, almost identical things. We're laughing about, these ridiculous things we're willing to go through. But you guys, my daughter and you're bedridden. You've lost your life has been taken away from you, and now you're doing anything and everything to try to get back. So you want to believe in almost anything and everything. So you're turning over every rock you can. You're trying every experiment, and we did, and you did. But in the end, as much as we don't want to not love on the people that believed in us, but that functional medicine doctor that you worked with didn't really help you that much. They helped you get the confidence to believe in yourself, to continue the fight. But at that level of expertise on both East and West, which is what a functional medicine doctor does, they bring it together, still couldn't help you. So what did you do?
Well, for a few years, I honestly gave up. After those first 2 years, when I gave it everything I had, virtually all my money, I had read every book I could find on healing, not just chronic fatigue, but anything. I read books on cancer, just on anything, in case they might have something that might help me. And I really felt like I was out of things to try, and I was burnt out from the recovery efforts and severely depressed, and I just thought, I can't keep going like this. So for a few years, I sort of coasted. I was at about 50% recovery, so I had a few functional hours every day.
Stop. How did you get to 50% recovery? Woo, just let's get. We don't go from terrible to 50%. What happened at least to the 50%?
Yeah, so I was saying, in those first couple of years, I did see some progress. So I can't say that doctor didn't help me at all. I don't know what it was because I was doing so many things at once. I have my theories, but I did, and 50% might be a bit high. It might not be quite that much, but I had a few functional hours every day.
What specifically helped you?
In those first 2 years, I can only guess because I did everything at once.
Guess
I think
our audience just guess for us. What was the guess?
I think it was cleaning up my diet. I think it was removing a lot of crap from my life.
What does cleaning up your diet mean? What does that look like?
Getting rid of processed foods, getting rid of the junk food, cutting out added sugar, cutting out alcohol, all that kind of stuff. So I did a lot of the expected stuff that you probably should be.
I have to stop. You're a fast thinker, and you're expecting your audience already understands the degree of what you're saying. We did that too. And it helped for a little while, and then it came back. Right?
Yeah.
It helped for a little while. We did the Furman diet. We did the elimination diet. We did the testing of allergies. And some things worked for a little while. I'm not saying don't do that. Absolutely do that because it's a huge component to healing. But it worked to an extent. And then depending on some other things that we do to take care of ourselves from a central nervous system, or let's call it a constant state of fight or flight. Being in a constant state of fight or flight that is shredding the immune system. And we're all in this world that is in this fast-paced everything. So you said the diet. I had to stop you. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. But so there was a diet that was a bedrock. We get that. But it only lasted to a point. You got discouraged. And then after the bedrock of diet and cutting out this and that, what else did you do?
So after about those 2 years, I stopped doing everything, and I did stay at that level. So when I got back those functional, 3 hours a day, that's where I stayed for a very long time. And if the things that I suspect helped me in the beginning was mostly just removing stress, I started seeing a counselor. So I started learning some better coping skills and ways to keep my stress levels down. I was living a healthier life, and my life was getting a little bit more in line with how I wanted to be living. This was a wake-up call for me. I realized that I actually really didn't like my job. I didn't like a lot of things about my life. And my marriage wasn't even good anymore. I, at that point, ended up getting divorced. So I think just changing my diet, cleaning things up, getting some stress management skills, getting my life more in line with a little bit more how I wanted to be living, got me to that place of a little bit of functionality. And that's where I stayed for quite a few years.
So what I'm hearing and what happened to us was there was a glimmer of hope in that. Okay, so I got a percentage of getting better out of this by making these changes. And if that can help, then what else can I do to make these changes? What kind of hope, dangling carrot of hope, and as all of, like you said, all the supplements we've tried and all the things we've done, but so that actually led you to do what?
It led me to, after a period of coasting, getting to realize that I couldn't keep living that way. My life was still really difficult and every day was a struggle. And I had been paying attention over the years. And even though I hadn't been actively working on my recovery, I'd still been reading, still been experimenting, and I had a really good idea, or I had some theories about what might get me fully past this. So one of the things that I think that really helped me was just getting really serious again and putting my focus back on recovery. So eliminating all the extra stuff in my life and just going all in once again, but this time with more knowledge, with more experience.
Going all in. I want to emphasize all in, not part, not think. No, I'm going all in for 100% recovery. That has to be the mindset, right? It
had to be for me. It really had to be. I wish I could say that I think I could have done this with some kind of part-time efforts, but I needed to just put virtually everything I had into this and be in a bubble.
What does all in mean? I mean,
for me, it meant quitting my job. So I had a job that I'd been working from home, and it was challenging for me to do, but I was able to manage it from home. But I quit my job because it sucked up every ounce of energy that I had. And it also meant, for me, not having a social life anymore for a while. So I, for the most part, stopped seeing friends. I stopped going out because that took energy and it took, resources.
Sounds depressing, but actually it wasn't, right?
Sorry?
It sounds depressing,
It does. It does. It was exciting, though. It was really exciting because I felt, in my soul that I could get past this and just really focusing on it. I mean, the way someone might get passionate about, training for an ultra marathon or maybe doing a PhD, like this is going to change my life. I am going to be better off for the rest of my life for this. And I'm lucky that I had met my now husband, who was incredibly supportive and really helped me throughout that time so I could put my focus on this and just really put everything I had into getting myself well.
Okay, now I wish my daughter was here because she has all these terms. So hopefully when I say a trigger something, you'll be able to say what the exact term is. But there are ways that we move forward in these tiny little baby steps. And the minute we overexert ourselves, it puts us back into something. I forget there's a term for it. Maybe you could help me. But all of a sudden we get beaten down and have to start kind of back over again and build up these baby steps. So the way we do this isn't that all of a sudden, one day we're bedridden, the next day we are doing the marathon. It's that we put one foot in front of the other. Sometimes because of these type A personality people, we go a little too fast. It knocks us back down again. Our adrenals get completely depleted, and then we have to kind of rebuild back over. So carefully, methodically, and how can you explain a little bit of your journey on what those baby steps look like for someone that's just going, okay, well, I want to believe, but I'm just not getting better, and I don't have the luxury of quitting my job, and I don't have that support of a husband. How do we reach out? What do we do to this? By the way, for you guys out there too, I don't know how God's going to work this out in my life, but I'm going to try to commit to having a center, probably in where I live in Flagstaff, but probably in Sedona, Arizona, where I'm going to put a center together to give people with this that are that serious, all in serious, a place to go to eat all organic, whole food, it's things to de-stress and be able to lay everything down and start this healing process so they can see this light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train headed their way. But so could you tell me what these baby steps look like for you, and let's put some flesh and blood on this of a practical application.
Yep. All right. So I'd seen in my experience some things that had showed promise. Like I said, I had some some strong suspicions about what was going to help me. So there were a few things that I started, and you're absolutely right, with baby steps. Even though it was all in, it wasn't that I was suddenly doing 100 things a day. A big part of that for me was pacing and not overdoing it, because overexerting myself, it was sort of 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, or 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. So I would crash, we have that post-exertional malaise, and there was just no way I was getting better. So one of the things that I did is I made a schedule for myself every single day that I followed. And the bulk of that schedule was sleep and rest. However, I made sure that I was devoting what energy I did have towards things that I felt that were going to help me heal. And one of those things I felt strongly about was incorporating some sort of movement in my life. But I had tried exercising while I'd been sick, and I always crashed, and it always made me worse. But this time I had a plan to start so incredibly small. So I started with just 1 minute of strength training in my living room every day. And by strength training, I don't mean weights. I just mean setting my timer for 60 seconds and doing some squats, or maybe some push-ups off the wall, not even the floor. Just some really gentle things to get things moving in my body and to slowly start building strength. So that was one.
Okay, hold the thought. So let's back up. So the first thing was completely getting every stress-related thing out of your life and calming yourself down. I know for myself, so I've gone through some of the trainings that my daughter's gone through, so has my wife. In fact, the guy that we've worked with, I'm going to tell everybody his name shortly. He's coming here for some training because we're actually training an NMT. Now, you had some things with massage that helped you too, and our neuromuscular massage therapist, his name's Michael, studied at a really famous institute that was the inventor of that out of Florida. So we determined that it's a constant. I'm a type A guy too, so I have to constantly remind myself to relax. I have to constantly remind myself not to overreact. I have to constantly remind myself to take it down several notches. And I know from watching your testimony, that was a huge component, was bringing not just stress level. You say the term stress level, there's a stress in my life, quit my job. No, it's like taking every thought captive and literally saying, okay, don't sweat the small stuff, and everything is small stuff, right? So you got to get yourself to this point where you're constantly calming yourself down, calming your central nervous system down. And you said, well, sleep, a little bit of sleep, eating right, oy vey. And people are going, I've done that and it's done nothing, and I'm still exhausted. I'm glad she's able to do 60 seconds, but I can't even walk to get my mail, or sometimes it's hard to go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah. And that's so important, Ken, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because one of the changes I immediately made is that I changed my approach to, stress management. I think I used to think of managing my stress and keeping myself calm sort of like a workout, like how we do our gym, like we go to the gym once a day and then we're done. So maybe we do a meditation session and then we're done for the day, and we don't have to worry about that for the rest of the day. But I started doing what I called thought catching, and it was just all day long being aware of my state, of my stress levels, of the thoughts that were going through my mind. And if I caught something where I could feel the tension, the stress, the anxiety building, I would catch it and I would examine it, and usually it was some sort of faulty thinking. I would break it down, I would replace it with a better thought, and just get myself in a better state. And I didn't fully understand it at the time, but from my reading since, I understand now how important that is to keep your nervous system in a state where it can actually do the things it needs to do to heal.
Would you say it's a lot like EMDR?
Like which?
EMDR, the where you're constantly managing, your thought process and all this. And I don't get into too many different tangents of this, but okay, I want to come back to this, because someone listening to this will go, this is just chicanery. Like, are you going to open up your coat in a minute and start selling me snake oil? Like, what the heck? Really? Really? Like, it really does do this. Let me share some stuff real fast with you from my own personal experience to corroborate this in a different kind of way. I'm 2 years sober now. I stopped drinking 2 years ago, May. And I found myself drinking myself to sleep every night because I've had a really, really bad sleeping problem over the years. It's just, I'm a type A personality guy, and I'm stressed out I was stressed out all the time. Even now, I probably should be so excitable in the way I'm talking. But so I did stupid things. I made stupid choices. And then I realized later in life wow, I think I've become an alcoholic. I can't stop drinking. So I check myself into 3 different detox centers. I have no problem sharing this information. I'm not embarrassed of it. It's the only thing in my life I haven't been able to conquer. It's the weirdest thing. And so I thankfully, with the support of my family and some other things, I just stopped drinking, and I've been, sober for 2 years. But what I was going to say is that from a stress management standpoint and this EMDR, the relaxation response, is I couldn't just quit that. I had to bring something else in to take away the alcohol cravings and the other things. So I started doing some self-hypnosis, and some people think that, no, it's not like that. It's like relaxation response stuff. And I cannot tell you and de-stress enough, how much that has helped my sleep. And so, like, if I'm like super stressed out, I just go up, I'll pray for a while, or I'll meditate. Some people meditate, I pray. And I'll even rub a little bit of lavender oil. Like, I used to laugh, oh, you're one of those guys that believes in essential oils. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And I love there was this meme on Facebook. And it's this guy named something B Babylon B. No, I'll think of the name, and it's really funny. This guy's great. But it had a picture of Operation. Remember that game in the 70s, Operation? And you have this magnet, you go and you pull out the liver. And this Operation game is, instead of having utensils, it was, okay, here's your lavender, here's your mint, here's your this. And he was making fun of essential oils. And I made fun of it with him, thinking this is bogus baloney, until I did it.
Yeah.
Until I gave it a fair shot, until I gave relaxation response a fair shot, until I gave EMDR and some of these tapping things and all these different things, and I'm going, it actually works. Like, so it seems like, oh, this is like, next you're going to think, you're hearing voices in your head. No, this stuff collectively, there's not one single thing that is the silver bullet that's going to cure us. It's the collective of what you have put together, what I'm going to call your course, and the information that you have on your website. Folks, I am telling you straight up as I'm sitting here, and I'm a no bull guy, and I will call a spade. What she has works. If you're desperate, if you're destitute, if you're hopeless, I'm telling you, check out her website. What she is doing works. And we came, and it's so outrageously extreme, the stuff that we both tried, and we both come to the same conclusions of completely different paths and ending up at the same result. So I want to continue to drive that home. Again, this is going to be in the description. I'm not asking you to like or subscribe to my channel. I'm asking you to like and subscribe to our channel. Straight up. So now here you are, and I know we're coming on, like, very few people are going to watch an hour-long video, so I hope they do. But you're coming up into this full recovery. You have your life back. You have your job back. You have a new husband. You have, you're getting to live again. That's crazy. That's so awesome. I'm freaking out because I have hundreds of students all over the world that are hopeless, distraught, and feeling like there's no way out of this, and you are living proof that there is.
Oh, it can feel so hopeless. It can feel so discouraging, and it can feel, in those moments, like you're never going to get past it. At least that was my experience. And it just, if someone had come to me then and told me all the things that were ahead for me, that I was going to get past this, that I was going to be fully healthy, that I was going to be traveling and just, working out again and doing all the things that I wanted to do, and, married again and happy and found love and joy and all those, I would not have believed you. It would have just sounded so far-fetched. But yeah, it's not just me. Now that I share my story, so many other people reach out to me, and so many other people are getting fully past this too. So I think it's so great what you're doing, Ken, because we need to get this message out there. This is not a death sentence.
And by the way,
you can get better.
I'm going to take this a creepy step farther, and people are going to think I'm nuts. I am. That's okay. A lot of people have disappeared over the last decade of people that are sharing nutritional information or holistic information or homeopathic information or naturopathic information. And if it isn't being sold by big pharma, it can't be possible, it can't be real, and you've got to go through this only route to get to your healing. And I'm telling you, we did that. I'm not a medical doctor. I don't make any medical claims. I'm not selling you anything. But let me ask you this point blank, Raelan. Can people go to your website and actually get information based on your own personal testimony? You're not selling medical advice. Based on your own person, can they get better from the stuff that you have on your website?
Many people do. I am not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. All I'm doing is sharing my own story and my own experience. The more I share it, the more other people I talk to tell me similar things that have worked. And people contact me every single day telling me, I'm so grateful I found you. I'm so grateful I found your videos. I've started doing all these things. I'm already this much better. I just did my first full-length workout. So, of course, I have no idea. I can't guarantee. Everyone needs to, to sort themselves out and figure out what works best for them. But I do know that it worked well for me, and people that I talk to are using similar approaches and having really good success with this.
Is there anything else that you could share with my audience as someone that has gone through this, that would just be like imploring them, hey, look, guys, there's hope. I'm an example of this. If you only did these 3 things just to kind of try it and just go down this, what would be some very basic, fundamental, rudimentary things they could do to get started?
All right. I would focus on, 1, changing your mindset towards recovery, because I think a lot of us think it's something that's going to be done to us, and it's a pill or it's a surgery, or we're waiting for something like this to come along and take everything away. And I don't think that happens for most of us. So I would look at ways to empower yourself. This is good news. And support your own body's ability to heal, because our bodies, I've come to appreciate, under the right conditions, can do amazing things. So for me, movement in my life was important, because we know we need movement to keep our lymphatic system moving, which is, to oversimplify it, our garbage removal system in our body, and that's really important. So movement, either through massage helps, whatever gentle stretching or movement or walking program you can come up with. I find that just laying still all of the time, which is understandably what people who are chronically ill want to do, is not supporting our body the way that we need to. Of course, we need to rest, but we need to move also. I think diet and gut health are also incredibly important, and I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all plan. For me, a plant-based diet was incredibly helpful, but I've talked to other people who have gone other paths. But addressing our gut health, one thing that no one has told me is that alcohol or excess sugar or caffeine or these things or processed foods have helped them to get well. They've had to go to a whole foods approach and support that microbiome and the healthy bacteria in your body, the things that help you get well. And I put lots of information out about the ways that I did that. And then the other big one
I want to interject something about really quickly. So hold the thought. I'm sorry for interrupting. And Kenny said, Ken, shut up, I was listening. Is that even down to the types of things that we do, and let me give you something that I resonate with. I used to spend audacious amounts of money on supplements, and I do take good supplements. I'm very specific about what I take. I have a very clean diet, but the other thing that I was interested in was fermented vegetables, for example. You mentioned this in your thing. I used to take the 100 billion microbes, billions of guys are going to help your gut flora get better. Did nothing for me. I spent thousands of dollars on those things. And then I started eating fermented vegetables. Try some fermented vegetables. Like, holy cow, all I had to do was eat some kimchi or some sauerkraut instead of spending thousands of dollars on these stupid expensive supplements. And the answer for me was yes. And I got from you, I was shocked to hear you say the same thing. So it's not the most expensive stuff. It's not, the practical things that you said. Your body was meant and made to heal itself. So with what you were saying as you were going down, and as it rudely interrupted you, if you could kind of start there, instead of skimming so fast over some stuff. So first of all, movement.
Yes.
Diet.
Yes.
Gut flora.
Yes.
Relaxation response. Holding yourself accountable. Taking every thought captive, or what are you catching your thought catching? Calming the central nervous system down and being consistent with it, right? That's what all in really means, is a consistency and movement.
It really does.
So from there,
Other things that helped were also supporting my lymphatic system, which I mentioned already, but doing things like I started taking hot and cold showers every single day because, our lymph, we have more lymph in our body than we have blood, but it has no pump. It doesn't move on its own. So when we're laying still all day, our body isn't doing what it needs to do to heal. So I started taking hot and cold showers every day to get it moving. I started getting massages all of the time because that also gets it moving. And they just helped me in so many ways. And you and I have talked about this before that I don't even fully understand, but massages were huge for me, and movement and stretching. So supporting the lymphatic system as well. And with the stress and the thought catching and all of that was important, but I did the big things also. I incorporated meditation. I started doing journaling. I started getting counseling. Like I took that aspect of my recovery really seriously. And I think it's an easy one to gloss over because we want to focus on the physical symptoms. And it doesn't sound like journaling or, any of this is going to get me well. But for me, it was such a big part of it. The mental health aspect, addressing that was just important as focusing on the physical stuff.
So now you mentioned journaling. And I want to talk quickly about that, is Mike, the NMT, he's way more than an NMT, but who's helped us crazy tremendously. And I'm going to bring him in too. We might even do a little follow-up to this, and I might even bring you in on that if that's all right, is that we journal because we get to look back at our wins or at our PRs, personal records. And we go, I don't really feel like I've gotten any better. I've tried so hard. And then we go back and go, wait a minute. 2 months ago, I couldn't even go to the bathroom. I was so exhausted. And at least now I'm going to the grocery store or whatever that is. So as small or infinitesimal or incremental it may seem, these things as we look back are an encouragement. So let me talk about encouragement. Now, I know one thing for sure, and that is that every single person I've seen that has progressed from this, that it's gone to your website and seen your testimonials or people that you know that you have on your site that have testimonies from you, is the positive affirmation. Now, I know this sounds like positive thinking, and I've never been a positive thinking guy. I'm a positive guy, yes, but I never thought that component could play such a huge role of seeing someone else's success and me taking me out of that space of defeat and negativity and putting myself in the space of positivity and moving forward for my health, how crazy important that is. And so when this singer that I'm working with, it gets bummed out, she goes to your site and listens to one of your testimonies, and it's her encouragement for the day to get her through to the next day. And that is incredibly important. So you glaze over these things. That's why I say, folks, go to her website, because she'll say, oh, personal testimony. Like, what? Again, no. What she means is she could talk an hour or two on this one subject alone to give you quality information, and can do this with all of the different things we've touched on today. Some of it's on the website, but anyway, so I just want to take away some of the curtain behind some of this other stuff. There's a lot more to it than just these flippant cavalier statements that we're making as we're going along, but we only get this much time. So anyway, all right, reflection. So massage, NMT, we found the deep tissue, grinding the fascia away from the bone.
Yes.
That's been crazy helpful for us. It's not the end all, crazy helpful for us. So there's that. Your personal records or your journaling, and what else? We're going to close with a couple more comments here.
Okay, another really big one for me was sleep, because I found it's really virtually impossible to replicate the healing that happens in your body when you're asleep. So if I wasn't getting enough good quality sleep, then nothing else was going to.
But Raelan,
nothing else is going to work.
I can't sleep. I've tried, Raelan. I just can't sleep. This is my daughter's problem. What do I do if I can't sleep?
This is me, and this is probably why I'm rushing through some of these things, because there's so much I want to cover, and I could talk to you for an hour right now just on sleep, or just on gut health, or just on movement strategies and how that helps. So trying to pull out the key stuff here. But sleep, I was the same. I thought there was no way. I'd read all the books, I'd done everything, nothing was helping, but I did eventually find things that helped me. And some things that worked for me were, I didn't appreciate that I needed to get outside in the morning, even if it was just to sit out on a chair in the sun, and I needed to get some early morning sun, because we're so distorted being indoors all days. Our circadian rhythms aren't in line, our hormones aren't firing at the right time, and our bodies just don't even know to sleep at nighttime because they don't even know what time it is. So some changes that really made a difference for me were things like that: getting some sun, appreciating like getting blackout curtains in my bedroom and getting rid of every little light and putting tape over the lights, because I've read studies where even a teeny tiny little light in your room can shut down your melatonin production. I have a noise machine, a white note. Sorry?
We've never even covered the vagus nerve, or right? This stuff just goes on and on. And you have experience in all of these areas, right?
Yeah, I've read a lot, I've experimented a lot, and since my own recovery, I am so passionate about getting this information out and talking to other people. So I'm so glad that your daughter finds these videos helpful, and that's the number one thing people tell me, is that they need that hope, because just like you said, it's a daily thing. This recovery process, it's not a quick one-time thing. It's a repetitious thing of getting up every single day and doing those things that you need to do to support your body. It's just a bunch of little tiny things day after day after day that on any given day might not really feel like they're getting you anywhere. But if you look at the trajectory, they're taking you great places. And it can feel hopeless, and it can feel hard and impossible sometimes. And I think that's why, videos like this one you're doing right here, Ken, are so important, because for all the people going through it, sometimes they just need that boost into that reminder that, like, okay, this is doable. I'm not alone. Other people have done it. I can do it too. Let's keep going. So, yeah. So
Raelan, where can people find this information? I'm going to post. I'll embed it on the thing at the beginning of the video. I'll embed it here again. It'll be in the description. How can people contact you? How can they correspond with you? And do you do any personal counseling or anything like that? I mean, share a little bit about what you offer.
Sure. So, like you said, this isn't a business for me. It's mostly just a passion project of mine. But the best place to go is just my website.
Really job, right? You're an IT person, and
I do, yeah.
So this is just labor of love. Share your story. Hopefully, and I do hope that you will build a DVD series in that, and so that people can have access to this material. From, just probably the most difficult to find information on the planet, straight up, because there's so much information and bogus people trying to sell you the dream of getting well, and it's all baloney. But anyway, so how can they find you? What do you offer?
The easiest place is my website. So I have put out a lot of stuff over the last couple of years, so I realized I needed a place to congregate all that. So it's just my name, RaelanAgle.com, and there I've got information.
R-A-I-L, you spell it for me, and then go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, it's RAELAN AGLE.com.
Okay, cool. And we'll have that here. And then, do you offer any kind of things above and beyond, or can you tell us what your plan is for your website and growing that out?
Sure, yeah. Well, I have actually written and published a book as well. So it is the one thing that I do put out that I do sell. But you don't need to buy my book, because everything that's in the book is actually available for free in other places.
Yes, so you do need to buy the book, but go ahead.
So that's all on my website as well. And I have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is where I pump virtually everything into. So I put new videos out every week, sharing information, sharing my stories, sharing other people's stories. And I don't currently do any sort of one-on-one support or counseling, but I am in the process of putting together some online courses that help people who are looking for a little bit more hands-on, structured guidance in how to carry out some of those things. So it's when those are available, it will be up on my website for sure.
All right. Well, everybody, again, Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, today where the proof is in the healing. We are privileged and grateful to have Raelan on with us today. I've yet to see a more credible source for the same kinds of things that we've experienced. I know, professionally speaking, that, as you guys know, I've spent about $1 million on my voice. I've got 40 records out. I've got thousands of songs, out there, film and TV. Go to imdb.com. You can see I know how difficult my singing information is to come by, and that's just singing. I don't have to live on singing. It's just that's what do they call it? An elective, right? This is your health and your life, and so this information is life-saving information, changing and saving. So thank you so much for joining us, Raelan. We're not done yet. I'm going to bring you back on. I'm going to probably bring Mike in. We're going to continue to roundtable on some stuff to get as much exposure as we can, because I know the mainstream media is quelling and quashing this because they can't make money off of it. If there's something out there, and if it's not some pharmaceutical, they're going to find a way to try to crush it somehow or discredit it in some way, but we are living testimonies that it works. I'm not saying it's going to work for you, but I'm saying that if you want to see how it's worked for us and how it's working for Raelan, go to her website, check it out. God bless you, Raelan, for all that you do. We're super stoked that you give us this information, and we're looking forward to your success for everybody.
Thank you so much, Ken. I have so much respect for you and for what you're doing, and I cannot thank you enough from my heart to you for what you're doing, using your platform and using your voice to help people like this. I think it's just incredible. So thank you for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you more.
My pleasure. All right, we're signing off now, guys. God bless. The proof is in the healing. We'll see you guys soon. Peace out.